Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet Podcast. I am your host and resident fanalist, as always, Ryan Schlip. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_data. Well, I told you to keep your head on a swivel, and stuff is happening. I can't necessarily tell you that any of it's good news, but I'm just excited because you can feel the shift. You can feel the I don't want to say panic, the gravitational pull that is NFL free agency. Everything is realigning. Teams are cutting people, signing people, trading people. Everybody's gearing up for the big frickin' day. For the draft, for free agency, for the tampering period. It's go time. It's one after the other. Boom, boom, boom. This is happening. So, I hesitate to even do the podcast right now. I'm going to do it like as slow as possible. I'll do what I have and then probably take a little break because news is coming in, and I don't want there to be too much that happens that I don't get to tell you about. So I'm thinking that's going to take up a large portion of what we talk about today, but we'll see. We'll see how much more comes in. But yeah, things are a-moving. So let's just do this. Let me go through some of the things that have gone on here. It's just we'll run through what I have so far, and then we'll kind of zero in a little bit. First of all is the thing that I have heard over and over again, and it could just very well be one source being repeated by 700 people. It's always hard to tell whether it's that, which is less reliable, or a bunch of people hearing from a bunch of people. But Ian Rappaport says the Steelers are likely to keep Justin Fields over Russell Wilson. I could not be happier about this. I don't know. I've just been the biggest Justin Fields fan since he left and has gone to another team. I hope that Justin Fields has a phenomenal career. I hope he tears it up for the Steelers, and I hope that they have great success and he is a better quarterback than what the Bears have. It would just be phenomenal. Do I think that's going to happen? No, I don't, because of everything I've said for years about the fact that Fields is not a very good quarterback. But you get a competent head coach in there like they have in Pittsburgh, and maybe they can kind of figure out how to get something out of the guy, how to use him properly. You know, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But that has been the rumor that I've heard pretty consistently, that Justin Fields is likely to win the starting quarterback job and that Russell Wilson will probably be let go. The Eagles released defensive back James Bradberry, which is interesting because you might be thinking you told us that yesterday, which I do a lot. But no, it wasn't James Bradberry that we had talked about yesterday. It was Darius Slay. I think it was yesterday. So for whatever reason, they have essentially purged their DB room. Now, to be clear, Bradberry did not play in 2024, so he hasn't been a major force for a little while. He played a couple years in Philadelphia, and he is 32 years old. But Bradberry is now going to hit the market and is a potential candidate to slot in at quarterback. They haven't listed as a safety, cornerback. They haven't listed as a safety here, but he's been a cornerback, I believe, his entire career, so I don't really understand that. Maybe there was a change at some point. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Again, 32 years old. Don't know what he has left in the tank, but got another option. ESPN's Jordan Renan reports the Giants are likely to trade for the first pick in the 2025 draft. In the mock draft I did yesterday, that's exactly what I had, and it just makes so much sense. It's the biggest no-brainer on planet Earth, and I don't think anything could change that. They're a desperate team, and everybody's saying they're going to go out and get a quarterback. It doesn't matter. I don't care if they get Rodgers, if they get Darnold, if they get whatever. You still need to trade to number one and get Cam Ward. It's just what you have to do. And that's not even me evaluating Cam Ward because I haven't even watched Cam. I haven't done the quarterbacks. What I am saying is that you have a GM and a head coach who are about to get fired if this isn't a big turnaround year, and you can't do that with some retread quarterback. Next up, the Jets granted wide receiver Allen Lazard permission to seek a trade. So after cutting Davante Adams, they're going to allow Lazard to seek a trade, and I would not be surprised if he does not find if in the event that he can't find a trade partner, they end up just letting him go. They really don't have any interest in Rodgers' old crew. Not really sure why he's there other than, maybe trying to squeeze out some very low trade compensation. Giants wide receiver Darius Slay expects a lot of interest in free agency. Darius Slayton. Did I say Slay? I meant Slayton. Cowboys re-signed defensive tackle Osa Odigizua to a 4-year, $80 million contract. That was one of the things that was expected to happen. Apparently, and this is elsewhere in my notes, which we'll get to, apparently, though, Osa Odigizua was the one guy that they were 1,000% bringing back. Pretty much all the other free agents, and I'm saying free agents because I know there's talk about trading certain people, all the other free agents, they're not really super interested in bringing back. Maybe onesie-twosie here and there if they come back low enough. But if there's anybody you're interested that's a Cowboys free agent, they're probably going to be available. The Rams traded left guard Jonah Jackson to the Bears in exchange for a 2025 6th-round pick. We'll come back to that. ESPN's Jordan Renan reports Sam Darnold and Russell Wilson are near the top of the Giants' list for veteran quarterback options. The Cowboys restructured CeeDee Lamb's contract to create $20 million in salary cap space. That was the other part of this. They're not planning on spending a ton on free agents for their own guys. They're freeing up a bunch of money, and when things happen, they're expected to be pretty aggressive. Texans are not expected to pick up Kenyon Green's 5th-year option. Don't care. Seahawks released defensive lineman Draymond Jones. He is now available. Seahawks released safety Rayshon Jenkins. Seahawks released defensive tackle Roy Robertson Harris. Eagles gave Saquon a $41.2 million contract. Seahawks released right tackle George Fant. Bears did not tender restricted free agent Jack Sanborn. The Athletics' Colton Pouncey expects an Aiden Hutchinson extension to make sense sooner rather than later. I can't wait for that. Najee Harris expected to get $8 to $10 million in the open market. The running back market is the one area that is actually pretty good. Free agency, a lot of, if you go through and listen to what people are saying about free agency, there's not a single video I've seen or article that I've read that doesn't reference the fact that every single team essentially says this free agent class is dog crap, which goes back to what we talked about before with Brian Gutekunst, where it sounded like he was saying they're not going to be aggressive, when really what he was saying is this free agency class sucks and we may not get much out of it because there's not much to get out of it. The flip side of that, though, and this is exactly what I said as a counter to the lack of aggression thing, is that teams are expected to go heavily into the trade market. Remember, those are two different things, and I feel like they're constantly getting conflated. Oh, the free agent market sucks, so they're not going to get anything. There's nobody available. Okay, that's fine, but trading is a different thing. You don't trade for free agents. If you're trading, that means they're on somebody's team, which means they're not a free agent. So what's expected to happen is free agency is not going to be as exciting. There's not a lot of people that are super high-end that are going to get massive contracts. There's a couple. But really, teams that are in need of stuff are working real hard on trades. Miami Herald's Barry Jackson reports their conversations about Bradley Chubb taking a pay cut. Here's a fun one. The Saints released running back Jamal Williams. As I put on social media, I think the Packers should go out and get Davante. We should go out and get Jamal. I have no idea how much of a role Jamal's going to get, but I also don't care. I like Jamal Williams, and I want him to come back and get a ring with us. Okay. That's funny. We've talked about this numerous times, but Jeremy Fowler of ESPN reports multiple scouts believe Shadur Sanders is a better fit for the Titans offense than Cam Ward. You know, it'd be a funny scenario that I hadn't really contemplated. I'm sure other people have. If the Titans did trade the number 1 pick, the Cleveland Browns end up taking somebody like Abdul Carter, and then the Titans take Shadur Sanders at 3. I doubt you do that, because if you like your quarterback, you take him, but it would be kind of funny. Then, kind of the big news of the day, the Bears acquired guard Joe Thuney from the Chiefs in exchange for a 2026 4th-round draft pick. We'll come back to that, but that is, if you're taking notes, the second time they've made a trade. Now, I'm going to half make fun of them. I'm going to 50% make fun of them because they needed help, they got help, whatever. We'll get into it. But do you remember when I said that the Bears were going to focus on, building through the draft, and that's going to be their philosophy? And it's like, you've never done that. You build through free agency. That's what you do. So, but to be fair, also, if you happen to listen to this podcast, I would have, tipped a few things off. Let me go through a couple notes that I've already read to you. Poles plans to spend on interior offensive line in free agency and stressing running the ball with left tackle Braxton Jones facing competition. Ben Johnson's juice is noted. Also said Bears GM Ryan Poles plans to spend big on offensive line in free agency, possibly opening the door for a non-offensive line pick at 10. So, can't say I didn't tell you that was coming. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler reports Will Levis could be the odd man out in the Titans' quarterback room in 2025. The Raiders officially did release quarterback Gardner Minshew, so he's out there floating around. Bengals edge rusher Sam Hubbard has retired after 7 NFL seasons, so that answers that question. In addition, Green Bay Packers legend, former Packers kicker Mason Crosby retired after 17 NFL seasons. Jaguars released wide receiver Christian Kirk, so if you're a fan of that, there's that. Seahawks released wide receiver Tyler Lockett. Now, as soon as I saw that, I quote tweeted it and essentially put out the vibe of, well, there goes DK, because although it's not impossible, my assumption was they're not going to purge 2 wide receivers like the Chargers did a couple years ago, because that would be crazy. 20 minutes later, NFL Network's Tom Pelissero reports DK Metcalf has requested a trade, and the Seahawks have agreed to explore options. I just heard recently that the Seahawks were kind of closing the door. I know there's rumors out there. I understand that. They talked about this or that. But then, I don't remember where it came from, but it kind of snaked out there that they're planning on closing that door. So I kind of halfway gave up. Then Tyler Lockett gets released, and I'm like, okay, it's done. It's absolutely done. But now DK walks into the office and says, I don't want to freaking be here anymore. And they're like, okay. Heck yeah, bro. I was so sad for a minute, and then I got so excited. Raiders signed offensive guard Alex Kappa, formerly of the Bengals, to a 2-year, $11 million contract. And then the saddest news of the day, Raiders signed edge rusher Max Crosby to a 3-year, $106.5 million contract. So 106, what is that, 32? $32 million a year? You remember when not that long ago quarterbacks cracked $30 million and it was like, what are we doing in this world? This is out of control. Max Crosby getting $32 million a year. I was planning on, I had all the notes on here and everything, which I guess was a little bit of foreshadowing. Who the heck was it? I don't remember, but there was an interview with Max Crosby, and he essentially was trying to recruit Aaron Rodgers to come to Las Vegas. And, none of this stuff is 100%, but it felt weird for a guy that was kind of planning on leaving to say, I hope Aaron Rodgers comes and plays here in Las Vegas. But obviously, by the time that had happened, he knew that this contract was about to get done. So, too bad I didn't catch that one. That would have been so close. Cowboys also restructured Dak Prescott's contract, clearing up $36.6 million in cap space. This is a team that is planning to go all in and just say, screw the future. It's going to hurt so bad in like 3 years when these things come to roost. What does it mean to roost? Come home to roost. Is it chickens come home to roost? What's a rooster going to do? Beat the crap out of them? Like, you're going to get what's coming to you? Come home and see the rooster? He's going to rip you up? What does that mean? And why did my mind go immediately to domestic abuse? Roosting is what birds, especially chickens, do when they settle down to rest or sleep. Coming home to roost means returning to their roost at the end of the day. How would that be a bad thing, though? It's like when your day's over and you get to go to bed. That's awesome. Bro, your chickens are going to come home to roost. Like, yeah, man, I'm going to go relax. That's a stupid saying. So there you go. Max Crosby is out of here. It's done. It's over with. I'm so sorry to myself. I don't know if anybody else actually wanted him, but I did. DK is very much available. He's out there. He's asking for trade. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of talk about a lot of other teams that are super interested and a lot of concern that the Packers are going to be outbid because that's just kind of how it goes. The Packers are going to offer a fair price, maybe a little over a fair price, but odds are somebody else is going to be able to outbid them. But who knows? Maybe, there's some desire. We got some people that can, you look at New England. I know a lot of people are like, nobody want to go to Green Bay. Look at New England. You want to go to New England for what? What coach you want to play for? What quarterback you want to play for? Who in New England is like, those people, we're going to go play hard? Who? I don't even know. Who's like the guy over there? Or do you want to go somewhere that's very established with a really good play calling head coach with guys like Josh Jacobs there? You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying a little bit. Maybe you're not in on DK. I am. I mean, depending on the price, obviously, but I would love to have him here. I really would. So that's kind of just a quick run through. I basically just pulled up the news and just went in order of all the crazy stuff to make sure I didn't miss anything. We'll take a break. I want to come back and kind of zero in a little bit on some stuff, and we'll see where that leaves us. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Some more real quick breaking news here. Just in, the Eagles are re-signing linebacker Zach Bond to a 3-year, $51 million contract, keeping him in Philadelphia and off the free agent market, per Adam Schefter. Bond's a pretty good football player. Also, it looks like, sports media is just crumbling. All I ever see is cuts. Everybody's just getting fired. 538 is apparently done. I think that was CBS. I actually liked 538, one of the few things that I really enjoyed. They already cut like the NFL side of it, which was fantastic, a lot of data and stuff, and now 538 is just completely gone. I don't know why it's all the actual interesting things that end up getting cut, but whatever. And then ESPN has officially canceled Around the Horn after 23 years. The final episode will air May 23rd. So, purging money over there. But I understand. I mean, let me see if I can find it. I just saw this on social media. One guy, created a scene that was like a shot-for-shot remake of a Star Wars scene. It was actually really cool. He had the freaking little fighter come in. He's running with his lightsaber, does a backflip, cuts one of the wings, it splits in two and crashes. By himself, he did that. So I looked it up. The film's production cost is reportedly $416 million and 672 employees, highest average annual headcount. And that only includes core production staff. When you factor in cast, extras, post-production team, the number is significantly higher. Let's just call it like 800 people and $500 million to create a movie, and one guy created one of the coolest scenes in that movie. So, well, it's just one scene. Good Lord. The point is, some of this stuff is so over-bloated and unnecessary. And these massive studios, look at these Around the Horns and everything else. You got guys on YouTube with $50 setups that are getting hundreds of thousands of views on their videos. You got studios with, massive buildings in downtown Manhattan paying multi-million-dollar contracts to multiple people to get on TV and say some stupid bullcrap that some guy on YouTube already said 10 minutes ago. How is it sustainable what they're doing? How can you compete with YouTube and X and Facebook or wherever else, Instagram? How do you compete with that? There's no discernible difference to me between what I see on social media. And by the way, that's where I find the stuff. I'm not watching any of these clips for the most part. I'm finding it on YouTube and I'm finding it on social media, probably on X. I'm not going to your television program to watch it. I don't know what the long-term strategy is, but it ain't whatever they're doing. It's too much money. It doesn't cost that much money to do stuff anymore. Work smart, not hard, and expensive and stupid. All right, continuing on. Kind of strange, but not really. According to, this is via Clayton on X, according to DraftKings, the Packers have plus 190 odds to be Davante Adams' next team. The Chargers are next at plus 500, followed by the 49ers at plus 650, the Rams at plus 750, the Steelers at plus 950, and the Broncos and Patriots at plus 1,000. Another reunion with the Raiders is at 12-1. So that's a pretty big gap. They're the number one team at plus 190. The next one is plus 500. That's sizable. The only thing that I would say is it's kind of a two-way race between the Packers and everybody else is one way to look at it in terms of why the Packers are so high. It's the obvious answer. Will he go back to the Packers? If not, where do you go? And then you split it across everybody else. The odds that he goes to the Packers are less than the odds that he goes somewhere else. Does that kind of make sense? In other words, in the game of guessing, if you were to just take a poll, most people are going to gravitate to the Packers for obvious reasons because there's already a connection there. Doesn't really mean it's the most likely. It doesn't even, for all we know, that's ruled out. Either the Packers are all the way out or Davante's all the way out. I'll be honest, though, it still makes me a little bit happy. And I can't definitively say, depending on the price, I'd almost rather have Davante. I could be way off. Maybe Davante is going to cost a ton of money. I don't really know what he's going to be looking for, but there's no draft compensation either. And that to me is pretty huge. If it's DK minus like a second-round pick, which is really high considering the market, but I think he may end up commanding quite a bit. If we got to pay a second-round pick plus a pile of money for DK, who seems to already be on a little bit of a backslide, or Davante, who's maybe on the downswing, but it's freaking Davante Adams, it costs us nothing but a contract. I don't know. I have to see the compensation side by side, but there's a world where Davante makes significantly more sense than DK Metcalf. Something else I wanted to bring up, I didn't save the Twitter exchange, but there was an article written by Wendell Ferreira over at A to Z Sports. He says, Packers have already decided on one of the top free agent targets, and it makes perfect sense on every level. Second paragraph down, according to sources with knowledge of the situation, when the 2025 free agency period opens at 12 p.m. Eastern on Monday, March 10th, Indianapolis Colts defensive end Dayo Odenigbo is expected to be one of the Packers' top targets in free agency. Now, I did some digging around. I tried to find where this is coming from. I don't know if this is a private source or something that's out there. I've seen a good amount of speculation. I haven't seen anything super concrete. It might be buried in an article somewhere. I don't know. It's not really laid out anywhere that I can find. According to Tom Pelissero, in the article here, it says Odenigbo is expected to receive a contract in the $16 million to $20 million range average per year. Green Bay usually takes chances on players entering their second contract in free agency. Dayo is 25, so chances are the Packers would get a player entering his prime. And again, I didn't save the sort of back and forth on this article. Wendell was talking to a few different people, but he had made reference to this kind of mimicking what had happened with Zadarius Smith. And there's some truth to that. The biggest difference that I see, first of all, Dayo Odenigbo is not my favorite prospect in the world. It feels like a very Ted Thompson-y kind of move. It's a guy, but it's just a guy. He is not a premier pass rusher. He's not a super good run defender. The numbers and the grades kind of back that up. His overall grades in 4 years for Indy, by the way, he is a second-round pick out of Vanderbilt back in 2021. 6'6", 286. He's a monster. But his overall grades, 61, 62, 57, 66. His pass rush grades, 58, 60, 68, 66. And then he has never had a 10% pressure rate in 4 years. In fact, his overall career is 108 pressures on 1,236 attempts. This past year was 42 pressures on 440 attempts and just 4 sacks. So the numbers are not there. The grades are not there. His tackling grade was a 29. His run defense grade was a 57, which is significantly higher than it was last year. I don't mind a guy like this as a pure backup, right? Just another rotational guy, but he is Kingsley and Igbare. He's anybody else you want to mix in there. Now, could he take a big step with the Green Bay Packers like a Zadarius or whatever? Maybe. Sure. The issue that I have, though, is that Zadarius at least showed some signs. So Zadarius had played for Baltimore for 4 years, similar situation, similar age, all that. And his grades are kind of similar. If you look at his first 4 years, 58, 54, 60, and 69. The problem is that last year. If you look at his pass rush grades, 56, 56, 62, 78. He had a pretty sizable jump that final year. In fact, if you look at the statistics, 61 pressures on 485 attempts. That is a almost 13% pressure rate and had 10 sacks. That's a major difference. Now, he did explode when he came to Green Bay. It jumped up to a 90 PFF grade, 89 pass rush grade, 105 pressures and 18 sacks in Green Bay. So could the guy explode? Sure, but you can grab anybody that's not good and say, what if they explode? I can't, from where I'm sitting, I have nothing to go on that says Dayo Odenigbo is going to be a good prospect. Does it fit? Sure, I think he fits as a down defensive end. He's a big dude. He's an athletic guy that can come in and kind of, fits the mold from a aesthetic standpoint. I would be massively underwhelmed, and I would be going into the draft saying, please draft an edge rusher. This is nothing more than depth, and I don't think we really have a depth issue. We have bodies, we just don't have a premier player. Again, pending Rashawn being healthy and getting into form and all that kind of stuff, fine, but still. So if it's true the Packers have some kind of supreme interest, and who knows, they could do multiple, right? We got Preston and we got Za'Darius, and Preston ended up being a little bit more the underwhelming but reliable guy. Fine. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And I know Boss did a video kind of pushing that we should go in that direction, and it looked like he had NFL Pro stats up, and again, those are different than PFF, so there might be a slightly different view from that perspective. I'm not going to go counteract it, but I would encourage you to go check out his video. He did a little short on it and put it on social media, but I'm going to hold my opinion on that. Also, the 49ers are expected to lose safety Hufanga. I'll mention what I said, I think, yesterday. We don't really need a safety, but if the right opportunity arose, if it was the right person, right scheme fit, whatever, to pair with Xavier McKinney, I don't hate it. I know we have the rookies, and I know one of the rookies showed for a very brief period of time that he could be quite good. I'm not as sold as most, but it's worth noting he's out there. One guy I want to zoom in on a little bit, we talked about he is going to be available, is center Drew Dahlman. Some talk that he might command. It was an article, actually, Tom Pelissero did, talking about guys that may get more money than you would think. Deo Odenigbo is one of them, which is another reason I'm not super excited. Drew Dahlman is a 26-year-old center, so it starts setting off all kinds of alarms. Oh, boy, this could be something pretty big. He's a fourth-round pick in 2021 out of Stanford. Let me just read this little snippet here. It says, high-end centers usually don't hit free agency, and Dahlman should benefit. He missed time last season with an ankle injury, but excelled when he played, allowing 2 sacks on 295 pass block snaps and finished with PFF's 5th best grade among centers, a 4th-round pick, blah, blah, blah. Remember what I said about PFF really emphasizing run blocking, seemingly? I don't know why. It's probably even with pass blocking, but it shouldn't be. He did grade out pretty well. In fact, he's graded out well almost every year. His 4 years have been 78, 66, 82, and 79. That's really good. Let me give you a hint what my problem is. Here is his run blocking grades: 92, 70, 90, and 80. Why are his run blocking grades significantly higher than his overall grades? Because his pass blocking is not very good. 40, 55, 53, and 66. Now, this past year, 66, that's fantastic. And if this is some kind of a big breakout thing and he's an elite run blocker, I'm absolutely willing to entertain it. My issue is, are we going to roll out the red carpet and back up the Brinks truck? $13 to $14 million range is kind of where you're looking. Fortunately, centers are cheap, so even high-end centers don't cost as much. I'm just concerned that the pass blocking might not be there. There's every reason to be excited about a guy that can come in and just be a freaking road grader at center. And plus, the other good thing about it, even bad pass blocking centers, generally not that bad. Like I said, if you look at it, tackles give up by far the most pressures and sacks, then guards, then centers. So, for example, he's given up 4 sacks in 4 years, despite those terrible PFF grades. Unfortunately, 4 have come in the last 2 years. He had 0 his first 2 years. His pass blocking efficiency grades are not great. The pressures in total, not the best. But again, he did have his best year, even if it was about a half of a year. He had his best year at pass blocking this year and still remains one of the best run blocking centers in football. I'm open to it. I'm not going to sit here and say that he's the greatest in the world. I certainly have concerns. Pass blocking is a massive concern. But 26 years old, and I can pretty much promise you he's going to come in and be an elite run blocker. You got to at least consider that a very viable option. And to be fair, comparing with Josh Myers, obviously the last 2 years have been terrible. When I thought we maybe had something, he was a decent pass blocker and then fell off the last 2 years. He gave up 28 pressures and 31 pressures the last 2 years. Drew Dahlman's worst 2 years were 27 and 29. It's worth considering, absolutely. Another guy on this list is Aaron Banks, formerly San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers had a disastrous offensive line. They were furious at how bad it was, especially on the interior. I don't need to import those problems, so I don't really have any interest in Aaron Banks. They're talking 18 to 20 million for that guy. No thank you, ever. Okie doke. Take our final break. We'll come back and start ripping through more and more and more and more. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Speaking of DK, I thought this was really funny. I want to play this for you real quick. This is Diamador Lenoir. He is I believe, a corner for the 49ers, but he's talking about who am I going to go have fun with over in Seattle now if DK's gone.
Y'all cannot let DK leave. Y'all can't do that. Who I'm gonna have, how am I have fun out there? Najigba, he be crying all day. He cry. That's all he do is cry. Ref, he holding, ref. Oh no, don't hurt me. Cry, baby. Bro, I'm not worried about JSN. I'm not. He know that. He know that. God, he know that. For sure.
So I guess I didn't know Jackson Smith-Njigba wasn't a super popular guy. Maybe that's why everybody wants out. Talented wide receiver, but he got Lenoir. And it's not even like because it's a rivalry, because he's talking up the other receivers like, oh man, how am I going to have fun out there? My boys are leaving. All I got this is whiny little, you know what? He's holding me. All right, some other stuff. Rich Eisen. This is usually a segment that I love. He's always got 5 things that he heard at the combine. And I'm not going to play it because it's very long and drawn out, but we'll go through the 5. And unfortunately, there wasn't anything interesting in his 5 things. The only one that was semi-interesting ended up being something that I just don't believe. But number 1, he heard that the Browns have 0 interest in trading Myles Garrett. We've kind of been talking about that for some time, but the speculation is that this is going to drag out. At some point, they'll probably give in, but the expectation is this is not going to be done anytime soon. It could very well drag out beyond the NFL draft. He said that they're more than willing, if need be, to take compensation in next year's draft, so they're not in a panic to get anything done or to resolve the issue prior to that, and they're going to hold on for dear life. So I had told you that a while ago. Number 2, essentially, is that the Giants and Raiders hit the number, which we already knew that too, right? So that's not massive. Talking about Matthew Stafford, they hit the number of what he was asking for, and he said no anyways. Number 3, the Colts are looking at Daniel Jones to be the competition behind Anthony Richardson. I've never cared about anything less in my life. Number 5, we'll skip number 4 for now. Number 5 is what we talked about before. The Cowboys are planning to be all out on many of their own free agents, except for Micah Parsons, suggesting a significant roster turnover. Number 4, the Vikings' plan A at quarterback is to sign Sam Darnold to a multi-year deal. That might happen. All right, there were rumors about maybe tag and trade for Sam Darnold. That didn't happen. There's certainly some speculation that they may want to bring back Sam Darnold, and I can understand why you would do that. And I guess multi-year could mean a lot of things. I would just be very surprised if this is any kind of a sizable thing beyond a 1-year contract, if anything at all. But we'll see, because it seemed to have been pointing in one direction for a long time, and that is he's leaving. And at least that was my perspective. All of a sudden, there's nothing left. Now, those 5 things sucked. I was very disappointed. There's usually something juicy, but it's not a very juicy offseason, unfortunately. A lot of this stuff I already knew, and the stuff I didn't, I don't care about, and the one that I kind of care about and didn't know, I don't know that I believe. He did, however, give a bonus, and the bonus is this. The Pittsburgh Steelers are planning to play in Dublin, Ireland in 2025. We knew that already. That's already a thing that's established. The rumor that he heard is that the team that they will be facing is the Green Bay Packers. I had to run and check just to make sure. Sure enough, we play the Steelers this year. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but that is super exciting. I know a lot of people don't like the Packers traveling or whatever. I think it's super cool. I know the thing down in Brazil didn't work out super great. It's kind of sloppy conditions. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen in Ireland too, but I think it's pretty cool. I think Ireland is a cool place for the Packers to go. Obviously, the Packers are very popular traveling abroad, and I think it's for good reason. They're a very popular team abroad. Germany and UK, Brazil was huge. Ireland, I would guess, has got a decent size to it as far as the Packers fan base. So we'll see if that ends up coming true, but I thought that was pretty cool, pretty big news. Mina Kimes, I went through her recent video and whatnot. She lists the top available wide receivers as Chris Godwin, Davante Adams, Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper, DeAndre Hopkins, and Keenan Allen, and says that Chris Godwin is likely to stay in Tampa. She also said that DeAndre Hopkins could likely extend his career if he transitions to more of a power slot, so that could be interesting. She says that the most likely landing spot for Sam Darnold is the Raiders, so obviously conflicting report on that. Milton Williams, the Eagles' defensive tackle, is expected to command significant money in free agency. Let's pause and talk about Mr. Milton Williams. Obviously, there's been a lot of turnover with Philadelphia letting a lot of guys go. It's very strange. Milton Williams is a little under 26 years old. He was a third-round pick in 2021. You want to talk about a Za'Darius pick? I know he's a defensive tackle, 6'3", 290. If we just look at his pass rush grades, it's a much more exaggerated Za'Darius Smith, but let me just look at this real quick. 60, 60, 62, 92. Run defense has been all over the map, 40, 70, 70, 40. But this past year, he had 54 pressures and 8 sacks on 418 attempts. Now, is that because of the defense that they had that was just unstoppable, and that was his big breakout, and this ends up being fool's gold? Probably. And for that reason, I'm going to lean toward we probably should not do this. We shouldn't be the stupid team that falls for it. But on the other hand, it's certainly intriguing for a team that needs somebody that can be like this. I mean, let me just run through his pass rush grades on a week-to-week basis real quick. We'll do some heavy rounding. But I just want to look at this because there's so many 90s in here, and you would think, okay, that's why. There's like no bad days as a pass rusher. Here are his pass rush grades. 60, 70, 60, 70, 60, 70, 70, 70, 60, 60, 90, 80, 60, 90, 90, 60, 60, 70, 60, 90, 90. That's crazy. He probably had more days at or around a 90 PFF grade as his pass rush grade than all the Packers pass rushers combined. Again, the run defense sucked, 41. But he is a 6'3", 290-pound pass rusher. It's what he is. So if Jeff Hafley's looking at that and going, yeah, I can do that. We can replicate that. Maybe we can't because we just don't have the rest of the guys around him to make it work and take all the pressure off. But the bottom line is you still have to be able to do it. You still have to win your one-on-ones. Even if we can set up one-on-ones and we can set up this, that, or the other, you got to be able to do it. And he did it super consistently. In fact, starting in week 4, he didn't have a single game without a pressure. He had 2 games without a pressure. It was week 1 against Green Bay in a foreign country, and then week 3 against New Orleans. And it just got better. It was 1-1, 3-3, 1-2, 2-3, 9, 3-4, 5, 1-1, 4-2, 4-4. Super disruptive guy. So, similar to the center situation, it's part of me says absolutely not, and part of me says, oh, please God, yes. In other news, continued report that Aaron Rodgers' market continues to shrink, concerns about his impact after the Jets experiment. As I said, the Raiders' defensive end Max Crosby publicly recruited Rodgers to Las Vegas. There are some concerns. I hadn't really considered this, but would Rodgers really want to be under Tom Brady? How much of a clash could that potentially... It could be awesome. Maybe they get along just great. But Tom Brady owning the team and you're at the quarterback and he comes in and I don't know. It seems like there could be some clashing there. Again and again and again, the note keeps coming up. Many teams view this as a weaker free agent class. The trades reflect a weak free agent class, pushing teams toward the trade market, as I said, which means trades are happening, will continue to happen, and will probably start to flare up more as time goes on. Again, the free agent market isn't great, so it's got to... we're going to offer up some trades to try to get some value. It's considered one of the weakest free agent classes in years, especially on offense. Some key free agents and potential landing spots. Josh Sweat going to the New England Patriots. Ronnie Stanley, offensive tackle for the Ravens, going to the Patriots. Patriots are on a lot of lists right now. Milton Williams, Arizona Cardinals. Drew Dahlman, the center we talked about, to the Bears would be just disgusting. They already got 2 guards. DJ Reed to Washington. Javon Holland, the safety, to the Vikings. Zach Bond ended up staying. And then Chris Godwin, they said, to the Carolina Panthers, who needed some wide receiver help for Bryce Young. I would just point out, too, and I had just read this, as far as the Bears are concerned, remember, they went out and got the 2 guards. The note that I had said is they're going to target interior offensive linemen because they want to emphasize running the ball. The Ashton Jeanty thing is very real in my mind because that completes the picture. I'm looking at it going, okay, you still need a tackle, right? I mean, I understand it's kind of iffy with the left tackle situation. He's not bad, but you could certainly do better. So you would still draft a tackle, I would think, right? Except, what exactly did the rumor out of the combine say? We're targeting interior offensive linemen in free agency to emphasize running the ball. You don't have a running back. They don't have to get Ashton Jeanty. There's other running backs you could target. They could still target people in free agency, and they may draft a tackle. But I don't know. I really think that they go in that direction at this point. If he makes it that far, and he may not. Hopefully the Bears have to trade up to get Ashton Jeanty, which would be the funniest thing in the world, for them to expend additional draft capital after giving up draft capital for the guards, to expend additional draft capital to get up higher in the top 10 to draft a running back. Even if it works, I got to laugh at you, dude, because that's crazy. Gave up, what, a 4th, a 6th, plus whatever that compensation is for 2 guards and a running back? Cool, bro. It's also noted the franchise tags have been exceedingly low. Only 2 players were franchise tagged, and that's Trey Smith for the Kansas City Chiefs at $23.4 million, and T. Higgins for the Cincinnati Bengals for the 2nd season. That's the lowest since 1994. Oh boy, we got some big news here, folks. Green Bay Packers tendered exclusive rights free agent safety Zane Anderson. Anderson will return to Green Bay on a 1-year deal worth just over $1 million. He began his career as an undrafted free agent with the Chiefs in 2021. Anderson played special teams for Kansas City and eventually Green Bay over the first 3 years of his career before finally getting some reps on defense in 2024. He broke up 2 passes and recorded 1 interception. Anderson will continue to develop as a reserve defensive back for the Packers in 2025. Man, they love that guy. Good for him, man. $1 million. Not a bad day's work. All right, I will end on this note. The heck did it go? Another checking back in with the prospect visit tracker. The Green Bay Packers also met with Isaiah Bond, wide receiver out of Texas. That was an update to the NFL Combine. Then we've got an update to the Senior Bowl. Obviously, this is a long time ago, but news kind of trickles in. The Packers met with Kansas offensive lineman Logan Brown. So, if you're interested, feel free to check those fine folks out. As for me, I'm going to get up out of here. I think I'm going to give it one more day for Packernet After Dark. We've got some calls coming in, but I'm going to go ahead and let it fill up. I'm not sure if we have quite enough for a full day or not. So get your calls in, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.